It is that time of year where we all attend endless holiday parties, and it can be somewhat daunting if you're trying to watch your weight. Many of us find the best way to not pig out at holiday parties is to just avoid them altogether. But that's no fun. And thanks to nutritionist Tanya Zuckerbrot and her tips for healthy eating during the holidays, you don't have to resort to such drastic measures. Tanya is a registered nutritionist and founder of skinnyandthecity.com. Welcome to the program, Tanya.
Thank you.
So I understand you have some tips that will allow us to enjoy those holiday parties without feeling guilty about it.
Of course, because as you said, avoiding those parties would not be fun. And that's what the holidays are about. It's about a lot of social gatherings and celebrations. Unfortunately, many of these events revolve around decadent foods and tons of sweets and desserts. And also, as you know, in any office environment, there seems to be food everywhere. The gift baskets come in. So we have some great tips today to allow you to enjoy the season without packing on the pounds. My first tip is have breakfast. This is not the time of year to skip breakfast and think that you're going to save up those calories for a bigger meal later in the day, because studies show that having a breakfast, particularly a high fiber breakfast, will help to keep you feeling fuller longer on the fewest calories and allow you to make more sensible choices later in the day. So a great high fiber breakfast could be a high fiber cereal. Look for one with at least 10 grams of fiber and mix it with some protein. Another choice could be egg white omelet with some whole wheat toast. Great high fiber breakfast.
That's a great idea. So you're not starving when you walk in the door.
Plus, breakfast jumpstarts your metabolism for the day, so you burn calories more effectively.
Good advice. All right, you also have some tips on what you can do right before the party, correct?
Yes. A tip I always give my patients is don't arrive too hungry. Make sure you have a snack before heading out the door. Once again, I always talk about that combination of fiber and protein, and I have a little saying, fiber and protein at every meal makes losing weight no big deal. And that's because fiber and protein are the two nutrients with the fewest amount of calories that take the longest to digest. So before heading out the door, maybe grab some dried fruit and some nuts, or some whole grain crackers with some cheese. This way, when you arrive at the party, you're somewhat satiated, meaning you're somewhat full already, and you can make a sensible choice. You're not going to start pigging out as soon as you get there. The other tip is when you do get there, scour the room first, see what the healthier options are. Maybe there's some crudité, some fresh fruit, some dried nuts, or some lean proteins like chicken, chicken kebabs, or perhaps a shrimp cocktail before heading for the pigs in the blanket.
What if you find yourself stuck in a conversation with someone and you're directly next to the dessert table and you just can't quite make it to those vegetables down the way? What do you do then?
Well, I also agree. Life is short. You don't always have to skip dessert, but this is a really sensible tip. Instead of taking a few, bites of each dessert, find your favorite dessert, take a sensible portion, and do the 3-bite method. They've done studies that show that people appreciate the first and last bite most out of any of the, 5 or 6, 7 bites that you might have. So by having 3 bites, there's a first, a middle, and an ending. Doesn't that make sense?
That does.
So take any dessert and have 3 bites, because the first and last bites are the best bets anyway.
So the first one is kind of the tantalizing one. The second one kind of
the one in the middle, and then the last one you appreciate because it's the last. You realize, okay, this is my last bite. First and last bite.
That's a great idea. I'm going to try that myself. Now, what about if there's a buffet? That happens a lot, and people are lining up to get food. You have some advice?
I have 2 great buffet tips. Number 1, do not be the first online, be the last online. When you're the first online, guess what? Once everyone's done, all of a sudden, since you're the first to go, you can get back on that line and head for seconds. By being the last online, first of all, there's probably not enough for seconds by the time you hit the buffet, and by the time you're done eating, the buffet's cleared. But the second great tip is, rather than using an entree plate, use a salad plate as your dish, because entree plates have actually increased in size. They used to be 10 inches on average, and now they're 12 inches, which allow you to fill up with more food and therefore pack in more calories. By choosing a salad plate, there's less room to fill up. And one last tip when it comes to portioning out that plate, I use a peace sign method. This is what I recommend to all my patients. You can imagine a peace sign, right?
Yeah.
It's 35%, 35%, and the bottom space is around 30%. In those 2 larger spaces, fill one side up with lean proteins, maybe sliced turkey, chicken, fish. On the other side, that's where you're going to fill up with salads and low-fat veggies. And that bottom of the peace sign, which should be less than 30% of that plate, that's where you can have some starch, maybe some stuffing, some potatoes, or some cranberry sauce.
Maybe a little dessert.
Maybe a little dessert, but mostly fill it up with protein and vegetables.
And what about drinks, alcohol. Obviously, that's a big temptation, but there's a lot of calories in alcohol.
Yeah. Well, you want to avoid, some of those more caloric drinks, such as eggnog. 400 calories a cup in eggnog, people. That's the same amount of calories as a McDonald's quarter pounder. So you want to avoid some of those high-calorie drinks. And keep, when you do drink, aim for champagne or wine, which typically have 80 to 90 calories per glass, and aim to have no more than 2 glasses of any alcoholic beverage, because drinking too much can then lower your inhibitions and cause you to overeat some of the more decadent foods that might be there. That if you didn't have those drinks, you might have more self-control.
That is true. So wine and champagne actually do have less calories?
Yep, or spirit on the rocks, but don't mix it with too many juices or high-calorie mixers, because then those drinks tend to end up around 200 calories, and most people have more than one.
All great advice, Tanya. I'm ready to hit the holiday parties right now.
Good. Well, happy holidays. Happy, healthy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you as well. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.